When a man truly loves a woman, one of the deepest fantasies he carries inside him is the desire to protect her. It's not about control. It's not about limiting her freedom, and it's definitely not about treating her as someone who can't take care of herself. It's something far more primal, far more emotional than that. At his core, a man dreams of being the safe place where she can fall without fear, the shield that stands tall when life gets tough, and the anchor she knows will never drift away no matter what storms come crashing in. This is less about the act of protection and more about what it represents, the longing to be her unwavering source of safety and strength. Think about it. Men spend their lives being told to be strong, to carry weight, to shoulder burdens, to endure silently. But when he loves a woman, all of that toughness takes on a new meaning. Suddenly, his strength isn't just for him anymore, it's for her. He fantasizes about her knowing she doesn't have to fight her battles alone. He wants to be the one who holds her when the world feels heavy, the one who steps forward when someone disrespects her, and the one who she can call at any hour, knowing without hesitation that he will be there. That sense of reliability, of being the constant in her life, is not just a duty in his eyes, it's an honor. And it's not only about the dramatic moments. Yes, he wants to protect her from big dangers, but the fantasy goes deeper into the everyday details. He wants to be the one who notices when she's tired and steps in to lighten her load. He wants to be the one who catches her when she's emotionally breaking down, not by fixing everything, but simply by being the solid presence she can lean into. He dreams of holding her hand when she's walking through a crowd, not because she needs him to, but because it makes her feel safe. It's the little gestures, the arm around her shoulders, the text asking, "Did you get home safe?" The way he walks on the outside of the street that to him silently say, "I've got you." Deep down, this desire to protect is tied to love in its purest form. Because when a man loves a woman, her pain becomes his pain. Her fears become his fears. And while he knows he can't shield her from every struggle in life, he fantasizes about being the one who helps carry those struggles, making them feel a little lighter just because she doesn't have to carry them alone. That's the essence of real intimacy for him. Not just being present in the good times, but being her wall when things crumble. This fantasy isn't born out of a savior complex. It's born out of devotion. It's about saying, "You don't ever have to doubt whether I'm in your corner." He wants her to know that if the world turns cold, his arms will be warm. If her confidence wavers, his words will remind her who she is. If life becomes overwhelming, he'll be the steady heartbeat that grounds her. That is the kind of protection that fuels his imagination. Not cages and restrictions, but the freedom she feels in knowing someone loves her enough to stand guard over her heart. And at the end of it all, what he wants most is for her to feel safe not because she's weak, but because she's deeply loved. For him, protection isn't just about shielding her body, it's about guarding her soul, her happiness, and her peace. That, to a man in love, is one of the most powerful and beautiful fantasies he can ever hold. When a man is deeply in love, another fantasy that runs through his mind is the desire to spoil the woman he loves with surprises. Now, spoiling her doesn't always mean showering her with expensive gifts or extravagant displays. It's far more personal and intentional than that. What he truly fantasizes about is creating moments that make her feel seen, thought of, and adored. It could be as simple as bringing her favorite snack after a long day, leaving her a handwritten note in the pocket of her jacket, or planning a weekend away that she didn't see coming. For him, the joy lies not just in the act itself, but in watching her reaction, the way her face lights up when she realizes he remembered the little things, the way her laughter fills the room when she's caught off guard, and the way her heart softens knowing he put effort into making her feel special. This fantasy is rooted in the idea that love should never become stale or predictable. Men dream of keeping the spark alive by constantly reminding her that she's worth the effort. He wants her to wake up some mornings wondering what surprise he might have up his sleeve that day, not because she expects it, but because it becomes part of the rhythm of how he loves. It could be a bouquet of flowers on an ordinary Tuesday, a spontaneous dinner date, or simply rearranging his day just to spend a few extra hours with her. In his heart, he wants to turn ordinary moments into extraordinary memories, because to him she deserves nothing less. It's important to understand that this fantasy is not about showing off or proving something to the world. It's not about creating Instagram-worthy moments or big romantic gestures that everyone else can see. The fantasy is far more intimate than that. It's about her knowing in the quiet spaces of their relationship that she is cherished. It's about her feeling that she is the only one on his mind when he chooses to go the extra mile. And often, the best surprises aren't about what he gives, but the thought and care behind them. He dreams of her realizing that he listens, that he remembers the things she mentions in passing, and that he values her happiness enough to turn those little details into reality. Another layer to this is how much men crave the joy of anticipation. He imagines her walking into a room and finding something unexpected waiting for her. He fantasizes about the look of disbelief when she realizes he went out of his way for her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. That's the kind of reaction that stays with him. The spark in her eyes, the way she feels loved without having to ask for it. For him, those moments are fuel. They make him feel like he's doing what a man in love should naturally do, adding magic to her life. And here's the truth. Spoiling her with surprises is really about creating a rhythm of gratitude and excitement in the relationship. It's about never letting her doubt how much she matters to him. He wants her to know that she doesn't have to earn these gestures, that she doesn't have to wonder if she's too much for him. In fact, he fantasizes about showing her over and over again that she is worth every bit of effort. At the heart of this fantasy is a simple but powerful desire to remind her that love is not just a feeling but an action. And those actions, those little surprises, are his way of saying, I don't ever want you to feel like I take you for granted. Because for a man in love, one of the greatest joys is seeing the woman he adores realize that she is loved in ways she never even expected. One of the fantasies that often lives quietly in a man's heart when he is truly in love is the desire to show her off proudly. This isn't about ownership or ego, it's about admiration. It's the kind of pride that comes from being with someone who inspires him, someone he feels grateful to walk beside. When a man is in love, he wants the world to see her the way he sees her. He imagines walking into a crowded room with her hand in his, knowing that people notice not just her beauty, but the energy she carries, the confidence she radiates, and the way she makes his life feel richer. For him, it's a dream to be able to say without words, "This incredible woman chose me." The fantasy is not built on superficial looks alone. It goes deeper. He wants to show off her mind, her kindness, her strength, and her individuality. He wants people to hear her laugh and feel the joy it brings him every day. He wants others to notice the way she speaks with passion, the way she treats people with respect, the way she carries herself with grace. In his heart, he fantasizes about being the man who stands proudly next to her, not overshadowing her light, but reflecting it. That pride isn't selfish. It's a form of love, a way of honoring her presence in his life. There's also a subtle but powerful layer of reassurance in this fantasy. Men long for their partner to feel valued, not just in private but in public too. He wants her to feel that when he introduces her to friends, family, or colleagues, it's not done casually, it's done with pride. He fantasizes about looking at her across a room full of people and catching himself smiling because in that moment, he can't believe she's his. And even more than that, he wants her to feel that pride too. He wants her to sense, without him saying a word, that he considers himself lucky every single day to be hers. In the small details of life, this fantasy plays out in ways she might not always notice. The way he places his hand gently on her back when introducing her, the way he listens attentively when she speaks in front of others, the way he brags about her accomplishments not to boast, but to celebrate her. These are little signals of his admiration. They're his way of saying, "You are my greatest treasure and I want the world to know it." This desire to show her off proudly also ties back to his own sense of identity. Loving her becomes part of who he is. When he talks about her, it's not just about sharing details of his relationship, it's about sharing a piece of himself. To him, her presence in his life is proof that love exists in its most genuine form. And so he fantasizes about moments where others see them together and recognize not just their connection, but the joy and authenticity that radiates between them. At its core, this fantasy isn't about validation from others. It's about deep appreciation. He doesn't want to keep her love hidden. He wants to celebrate it. He wants to celebrate her. He dreams of her realizing that he never tires of holding her hand in public, of posting a picture with her not for show, but because he can't resist expressing how proud he is. That pride is not seasonal. It doesn't fade. It's something he longs to express over and over again, in countless little ways. Ultimately, when a man fantasizes about showing her off proudly, it's not about proving something to the world. It's about proving something to her, that she is the woman he admires deeply, respects endlessly, and cherishes without hesitation. It's about her knowing that, in his eyes, she is not just his partner, but the person who makes his life better, brighter, and infinitely more meaningful. Another powerful fantasy that fills a man's heart when he truly loves a woman is the desire to create deep emotional intimacy with her. Physical closeness can be found anywhere, but emotional intimacy is rare, and when he loves her, he longs for that rare bond. He dreams of being the person she turns to when her world feels confusing, the one she confides in when no one else can understand, and the safe space where her truest self can come alive without fear of judgment. For him, this is not just about connection, it's about being the one who knows her soul beyond the surface, who understands her in ways even she may not fully realize. In his fantasy, conversations are not just exchanges of words, but windows into her inner world. He imagines long talks late at night where she reveals her dreams, her fears, her childhood memories, her insecurities, and her hopes for the future. And as she speaks, he doesn't just hear her, he listens with his whole being. That act of listening, of seeing her fully, is one of the ways he feels most connected. He wants to be the man who not only shares her laughter, but also holds space for her tears, the man who understands the language of her silence, and the one who knows what she needs even when she can't put it into words. Emotional intimacy, in his mind, is about building a foundation of trust so strong that no doubt ever shakes it. He fantasizes about her knowing that she never has to pretend, that she never has to wear a mask with him. He wants her to feel free to express her emotions, the messy ones, the complicated ones, the ones she hides from the rest of the world, because in his arms she will always be safe. That kind of closeness is what he yearns for more than any grand gesture or fleeting thrill. This fantasy also extends into the quiet moments of togetherness. It's not always about deep, serious conversations. Sometimes it's about sitting side by side in silence and yet feeling more connected than ever. It's about sharing inside jokes that no one else would understand, about reading her expressions without her saying a word, about knowing that a single glance across the room can say, "I love you," better than 1,000 sentences could. He imagines a love where the emotional bond is so strong that even in the midst of chaos, they feel like they're in their own little world. For a man in love, this desire for intimacy is also tied to his longing to be truly known, just as he wants to understand her. He fantasizes about her understanding him too, not just the polished, confident version he shows the world, but the vulnerable, uncertain parts of him he rarely reveals. He wants to open his own heart, to share the fears he's hidden, the failures that shaped him, the dreams that scare him, and to have her meet those truths with compassion. The fantasy isn't just about him being her safe place, it's about her being his as well. At the deepest level, emotional intimacy is about building a connection that feels unbreakable. He imagines weathering storms together, not because life will be perfect, but because their bond is strong enough to hold steady when everything else is shaking. He wants her to feel that no matter how messy or complicated life gets, she can always come back to the sanctuary they've built with each other. That's the kind of intimacy that doesn't just happen by chance. It's created, nurtured, and guarded with love and consistency. And so, when a man fantasizes about creating deep emotional intimacy, it's not about intensity for the sake of passion. It's about depth. It's about having a love where two people see each other completely, accept each other fully, and connect in a way that time, distance, or circumstance cannot break. For him, that is one of the most meaningful dreams he could ever hold, because when he loves her, he doesn't just want her body or her company. He wants her heart, her trust, and her soul. Another fantasy that men often hold quietly when they are truly in love is the dream of adventuring through life together. It's not just about traveling to new cities or exploring breathtaking landscapes, though those things are part of it. At its heart, this fantasy is about creating memories, building stories they will tell for years, and making life feel like an ongoing journey rather than a routine. A man in love doesn't just want to live beside the woman he loves. He wants to experience the world with her, hand in hand, collecting moments that belong only to the two of them. He imagines spontaneous road trips where they get lost on unfamiliar streets but laugh their way through it. He pictures them hiking trails and reaching the top, not just for the view, but for the feeling of accomplishment they share when they look at each other and realize they made it together. He thinks about long walks at night in cities where nobody knows their names, about tasting foods they've never tried, about dancing in places where no one is watching. For him, adventure is not about the destination. It's about the joy of discovery, the excitement of stepping outside comfort zones, and the thrill of writing a love story that is filled with chapters worth remembering. But the fantasy goes even deeper than traveling or exploring. It's about navigating the adventures of everyday life too. He wants to be her partner when they decide to move into a new place and turn it into a home, when they learn new skills together, or even when they take on challenges like starting a business or raising a family. In his heart, adventure means growth, experiencing things that stretch them, change them, and bond them in ways nothing else can. He doesn't just want a life of routine, he wants a life that feels alive, and he wants to share that aliveness with her. There's also a beautiful element of vulnerability in this fantasy. Adventure means risk, and risk means facing the unknown. He fantasizes about being brave together, about facing uncertainties not alone, but as a team. Whether it's taking a leap toward a new dream, moving to a different city, or simply stepping into the unknown of tomorrow, he wants her by his side. Because in his eyes, even the scariest moments lose their edge when she's with him. He longs for the reassurance of knowing that whatever they face it together. In the small details, this fantasy plays out in moments that may seem ordinary to others, but are extraordinary to him. He imagines cooking a meal together and laughing when it doesn't turn out right, or turning a rainy day into an indoor adventure filled with movies, games, and cuddles. He dreams of building traditions that only belong to them, of trying things for the first time and turning mistakes into stories that will make them laugh for years. These are the little adventures that create a tapestry of shared experiences, making their love feel richer and more alive with every passing day. At its core, this fantasy is about partnership. It's about saying, let's live a life worth remembering, not just separately, but together. He doesn't want to just exist beside her. He wants to explore, to grow, to evolve with her. He wants their love to be a constant journey, not something that settles into monotony. And the truth is, it's not about where they go or what they do. It's about who he gets to do it with. She becomes the adventure, and every path feels exciting simply because she's walking it with him. That's why when a man dreams of adventure with the woman he loves, it's never just about escape or thrill. It's about building a life that feels like a story worth telling, one where every chapter has meaning because it was lived together. To him, the greatest adventure is not found in a destination on a map, but in the journey of loving her fully and sharing every step of life's unpredictable, beautiful path side by side. One of the most powerful fantasies a man holds when he loves a woman is the desire to make her feel desired. It's not simply about attraction, though physical chemistry is certainly a part of it. What he truly dreams of is creating a world where she never doubts for a moment that she is wanted, valued, and adored in every possible way. When a man is in love, he longs for her to feel like the most irresistible woman in the room, not because of how others see her, but because of how he sees her. His fantasy is to make her feel desired in a way that goes far beyond surface admiration, touching the deepest parts of her heart and soul. He imagines her catching him staring at her when she least expects it, not because she's done anything extraordinary, but because she exists, and that alone captivates him. He dreams of the moments when she notices the softness in his eyes, the hunger in his touch, or the warmth in his words, and she realizes she is more than enough for him. Desire isn't limited to intimacy behind closed doors. It's in the way he reaches for her hand in public, the way he leans in to kiss her forehead, the way he whispers something that makes her blush even after years together. These are the little expressions that carry the weight of a fantasy, the constant reassurance that she is the woman who awakens his passion every single day. This fantasy also carries a deeper emotional layer. Men long to make the woman they love feel beautiful not just in her best moments, but especially in her vulnerable ones. He wants her to feel desired when she's dressed up for a night out, but also when she's in her most comfortable clothes at home. He fantasizes about her realizing that his attraction doesn't fade when she's tired, stressed, or not at her best. In fact, he dreams of making her feel even more cherished in those moments because to him, desire is not conditional, it's constant. Beyond physical attraction, there's an element of emotional desire that runs just as deep. A man in love fantasizes about showing her that he desires her thoughts, her opinions, her dreams, her quirks, and even the parts of her she tries to hide. He wants her to know that he doesn't just crave her body, he craves her mind, her energy, her presence. That kind of desire makes her feel irreplaceable because it's rooted not in what she looks like, but in who she is. And for him, expressing that kind of desire is not only fulfilling, it's necessary. At times, this fantasy takes the shape of passion. He imagines surprising her with moments of intensity, where she feels swept up by his love and reminded that she still excites him endlessly. But just as often, it takes the shape of tenderness, gentle touches, long embraces, soft words that assure her she is treasured. To him, desire is not one-dimensional. It's a spectrum that ranges from playful to passionate, from subtle to overwhelming, and he longs to explore all of it with her. At the core of this fantasy lies the fear that so many women carry, the fear of being taken for granted. A man who loves deeply dreams of erasing that fear completely. He wants her to know that she is not invisible to him, that his love doesn't fade into complacency, that she is still the woman who makes his heart race no matter how much time passes. His greatest wish is for her to feel desired every single day, not because he says it once, but because he shows it in countless ways. Ultimately, when a man fantasizes about making the woman he loves feel desired, it's not about feeding his ego or proving anything. It's about giving her the gift of certainty. The certainty that she is deeply wanted, passionately loved, and endlessly cherished. To him, there is no greater joy than watching her carry that glow of confidence, knowing she is not just loved, but desired in the truest, most complete sense of the word.